Hey guys, we're starting a new unit in social studies today. We're going to start talking about European explorers coming to Texas, and I want you to have this that you should have put in your social studies journal. Now, as I'm reading these pages to you, I want you to list any reasons you hear that these explorers came to Texas. Okay, so any reasons that you hear that they came to Texas. And then I want you down here to tell me anything that changed after they came to Texas, and how did it change life as the people knew it, and how did things change for them, okay? Let's see. I'm going to try to make it so you can see it, too, as I read. All right, let's look at this picture first. It says explorers from Spain. Okay, explorers from Spain came to America. When they arrived, they met many American Indian groups. All right, this is to write about what you think happened when they came to America. I want you to just think about it. Some of these Native Americans, they were great warriors. They were protective of their land because that's how they lived off the land. Do you think it went over very well? What do you think happened? Okay, just think about it. All right, it says, let's look here. I like looking at all the text features. This is the conquistadors took gold jewelry similar to this piece back to Spain. Oh, so they must have gotten some gold. All right, so it says, in the 1400s, powerful kings and queens in Europe were competing with each other. Each had a strong desire to expand and wanted more lands to rule and riches to spend than the others. So right there is a reason why explorers came to Texas. The economic opportunities were great. There were spices worth a fortune in Asia. However, the overland trade route was long and controlled by others. So the king and queen of Spain backed the plan of a sea captain and trader named Christopher Columbus. He would reach Asia by sailing west around the world. All right, Spain reaches the Americas. In 1492, Columbus reached an island near Florida. He was certain it was near Asia when he claimed the land for Spain. He didn't find the rich Asian cities he had heard of or the spices he sought. He did see good land, many people, and some gold. Soon, Spain sent explorers to find the gold and conquer the land and its people. It was the explorers who learned that the land was not part of Asia at all. It was a land off their maps and unknown to them. It was a new land. So the people coming from Spain had never, ever, ever been here before, so it was new to them. Spain sent an expedition of 500 soldiers led by Hernan Cortez. An expedition is a journey made for a special purpose. Cortez was a conquistador, which means conqueror. In 1519, Cortez landed in Mexico and set out to conquer the Aztecs, the richest and most powerful people there. It took 2 years and the help of other American Indians, but the Aztec Empire finally fell and became part of New Spain. Aztec gold, silver, and pearls were sent to Spain. All right, fun fact, my husband is actually, his family, they're descendants of the Aztecs, and he is part Aztec. Pretty cool. All right. In 1519, Alfonso Alvarez de Pineda became the first explorer to reach present-day Texas. He sailed along the Gulf Coast, making the area's first map. All right, so let's see. His is the red. So he started down here. It looks like at Jamaica, and he made his way around Cuba. Then he went up around Florida, and as they were going, he was drawing a map. And he went around like the little tip of Louisiana right here into our Gulf Coast. And then he went back down to Mexico and then back out again. All right, so he was the first explorer to reach Texas. Cabeza de Vaca's journey. In 1528, a Spanish expedition landed in what is today Florida. Among the 600 men was Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca. He was one of the few to live and return home. De Vaca wrote about his experiences in a journal. That is how historians know about his accomplishments. So, journaling is a good thing. You might be famous one day and somebody might find it and read it. Upon landing, 300 men went inland to explore. They got lost. Months later, they found the shore again, but had no ships and a few supplies. Desperate, the men built rafts. The sails were made out of shirts and pants. They headed west towards Mexico. They sailed safely close to shore until a storm carried the rafts out to sea. For 2 weeks, the men feared they would never see land again. Then early one morning, Cabeza de Vaca heard the sound of waves breaking on a shore. Some historians believe the men came ashore near present-day Galveston Island. Then they separated and many died during the winter. Years later, Cabeza de Vaca found 2 of the Spaniards and an enslaved African named Esteban. Slavery was an accepted practice among Spaniards and many American Indian groups as well. Slavery is the practice of owning people and forcing them to work without pay. All 4 men became prisoners of American Indians. Oh, look, there's a picture of Cabeza de Vaca's journal. Okay, it says, eventually the 4 men escaped and walked across present-day Texas and much of the Southwest. They walked for more than 2,000 miles on bare feet looking for other Spaniards. Finally, in 1536, they were reunited with Spanish soldiers and reached Mexico City. It was 8 years after their journey had begun. Once back in Spain, Cabeza de Vaca told Spanish officials about 7 cities of gold called Cibola. He had not seen these cities himself, but had heard about them from American Indians. Spain wanted these cities of gold, so they sent an exploring party to find them. Fray Marcos de Niza led the group. Esteban was forced to guide them north. When they neared a Zuni Indian village, Indian village said to be one of the golden cities, Esteban went ahead of the others and was killed. Hearing of his death, Niza quickly left without ever seeing the golden cities, but in Mexico he spoke of them as if he had. All right, so let's look at our timeline down here. All right, so in 1527, the Spanish fleet, they left Spain. All right, it says in 1528, the Spanish fleet arrives in Florida. The main group, however, gets lost and stranded, and they build rafts to sail to Mexico, but they're blown off course, and we remember, they're in Galveston. In the fall of 1528, Cabeza de Vaca survives the storm, lands near Galveston after weeks at sea with 80 men. Okay, and then 1533, Cabeza de Vaca and the other survivors struggled to live with American Indians in eastern Texas for 4 years. Cabeza de Vaca escapes the island with 2 other Spaniards and an enslaved African named Esteban. They travel along the Texas coast, hoping to reach Mexico. In 1535, the 4 men meet different American Indian groups along their journey. They're reunited with Spanish soldiers in Mexico, and then Cabeza de Vaca returns to Spain and tells stories of the 7 cities of gold he heard about. All right, so that's then when they send somebody else, right, to come and check it out, the Niza, and then it says that, let's see, the Esteban, he was the slave. Remember, he went ahead and he got killed, and then Niza just turned around and left without ever seeing the cities because he was too afraid. So that's kind of like the start of the Spanish explorers. So think about, as you're going back to this, why did the Spanish come to Texas? What were they looking for? All right? There was a reason why they kind of were trying to find Asia, but they happened upon Florida, down Jamaica, kind of the Cuba area, and then, yes, okay, but then they eventually found Texas. And then what were they trying to get? All right, we haven't talked much about the changes yet, so kind of hold off on that one. All right, Francisco Coronado explores Texas. This is a replica of the 16th century Spanish galleon, and it's similar to the one that Coronado captained. If there were 7 cities of gold, Spain wanted to find and conquer them. Right there, that's your reason. So, another great expedition was planned. In 1540, Francisco Vasquez de Coronado gathered more than 300 Spaniards and about 1,000 American Indians. Along with cattle, sheep, horses, and mules, they set out for the Golden Cities. When they reached the Zuni village, Coronado attacked. He won that battle, but found no gold. Coronado was determined to find some, so he kept going. So that could have been a change that occurred. If they're attacking, that's creating some animosity and some anger between them and the Aztec and the people in, or the Zunis. All right, so Coronado sent some men west to explore. He led the others east. They searched village after disappointing village. Then a captive of the Pawnee Indians named the Turk said he could take them to a land of great riches called Quivira. They followed this man across the area known today as the Texas Panhandle and then north to Quivira. They traveled a long way to find a village with houses made of grass. When Coronado realized he had been fooled, he had the Turk killed. After 2 years, the great expedition returned to Spanish Mexico. They had no gold, but they had made an impact on future settlement in Texas. They had learned about a vast land and its people. All right, so now the Spanish are interested in Texas, and they're going to come here because we have so much land, and that's really, really important. All right, so I'm going to pause my video here, and I'm going to have to make another video because they can only be 15 minutes long, and this one's about to run out. So I'm going to pause it here, and there'll be another video on the next page where we finish reading.